Hey guys, MoJK here. There's a lot to talk about, including an upcoming banner, new King Mog event, and also a new trial boss. So let's get right to it. First, we'll talk about Lure of Echidna, or however you pronounce this. This is going to be a global exclusive trial boss, so we don't really know much about it. But what we do know is what kind of uh, prizes and stuff that we can earn from this, and also that Demon Killer is going to be effective. So, obviously you'll want to use Diablos Esper on this boss. The completion rewards are typical here for Advanced and Pro. I don't know if there's other versions of the boss, but probably not. This is probably going to be 3 difficulty levels here. And Elite gives you a fairly good vest here. It's 40 defense, 20 spirit, which is okay, but what's kind of cool about this is that it nullifies paralysis and poison, which may be, some bosses are going to do that, so that's going to be situationally useful. Plus, it enables evade, so depending on whether this is like 5%, 10%, this could actually be a pretty decent arena type of armor where, highest attack stats aren't really that important, but evade actually is, so maybe that's going to be something worth using. What's really cool is that the quest mission rewards are really good, or at least some of them are. Magic plus 30%, this is like on the level of Shantoto's TM, so I definitely want this. I don't have enough materials and stuff to really best in slot fill out all my mages, so this is going to be very useful to have. Killing with an Esper is always a pain, but yeah, if you time it with the overkill and everything, it's doable. Party of 5 or less, this is pretty standard stuff that we're seeing on these trial bosses. A 5-star Trust Moogle, 10%, and 2 rare summon tickets, so very, very cool. But we don't really know much else about that, which is fine with me because I kind of like discovering on the fly anyway. So at least this time I won't be too behind the curve or anything like that. I won't be doing all this like research prior because there really isn't that much information out there. Okay, so anyway, the next thing is that the King Mog event for Final Fantasy Type-0 once again is coming out. We've had so many Type-0 Mog events, it's kind of like crazy, but this is the 3rd one, and I think it's going to be the last one for a while. The clearing rewards, pretty standard stuff again. 1 summon ticket, and then there's some of the currency here. 500 lapis, which is okay. Not the most exciting thing. Pretty generic stuff, I would say. And then there's going to be these items and materials that we can exchange for. I haven't really seen these yet, but I can maybe update that later. What we do know is that this event exclusive equipment is actually surprisingly good. I think that maybe they started out with some of these base stats or whatever, but they determined that they don't want these to just be like, better than store-bought story, mode items. They actually want to make these things pretty good. Well, the gun is okay, I should say. The King only effects here, attack plus 15%, HP plus 15%. This is going to work out to like another, without pots and things like that, this is going to be maybe another 21 attack. So, thinking of this as a 63 attack gun, which is better than what you can buy in the stores, but not on the level of TMs. But, if you're going to use this gun plus the Dragon Killer passive gun that we have in the current raid event, that's actually not a bad 1-2 combo for free guns. Plus you're getting the extra HP percent here, 15%. Not too bad. Lamia Sith, I think Scythe, how do you pronounce that? I don't know. This is actually a really good spear if you happen to use this Sice character, who unfortunately is a 5-star max, so not necessarily the most exciting item overall when you consider that, but if you do happen to put it on Sice, you're getting these base stats which are just kind of generic, not too good, but you're getting an extra 55% attack. So this is actually going to push this spear to the level of a TMR kind of spear. It's going to be better than Gungnir. It's probably not going to be as good as, Roberta, Elza, those kinds of TMRs, or Eileen, obviously, but it is going to be up there. It's going to be like probably like 110-ish attack once all things considered, you know, without pots again. So this is a very good item. Unfortunately, it's on a max 5-star character, so yeah, it is what it is. But here is an actual item that's going to be, in my opinion, best in slot. So 68 mag on a dagger is already awesome. We don't have stuff like that in global yet. Plus the extra 35 spirit, that's pretty nice. 12 attack, that's kind of irrelevant. But on Rem only, you're also getting an extra 15% mag. So you're getting like an extra 20 something mag on this. So let's say it's like 90 mag plus auto regen. But let's say it's about 90 mag. That's already like the best magic dagger that you can put on Rem. Plus she gets the passive bonuses, as we'll see later, from wearing a dagger, and she does have very good use for mag in the first place. So this is going to be like a must-have item for anybody who's going to go after Rem. And then there's character bonuses as usual. Base 5-star gets 100%, base 4-star, base 3-star, and there's going to be this rare, like extra currency dropping monster that you do have the option of running away from if you can't beat it. But yeah, that's pretty much kind of standard stuff that we've come to expect. It does do fire, lightning, and ice elemental attacks. So actually, if you happen to have a Transterra, she has a like a veil or an ability that raises resistance to these 3 elements. So that's actually kind of nice for me. But overall, if you want to beat this character, I don't know if you can one-shot it. Maybe you do need to worry about resistances. I don't know, but it's kind of like what we come to expect. Now let's go to the banner. So Type-0 characters, I mean, they're really unfamiliar to me because I've never played these games. I don't know why they're pushing it so hard. I've never heard people talk of these as with as much affection as like the numbered series, but it is what it is. They are here. But some of these characters we have heard about for a while, so that's kind of exciting. Rem is pretty much a red mage. She's both a healer, an excellent healer, and a mage as well. I think stock-wise, her mage abilities, her attack magic abilities were kind of generic, but they seem to have buffed her up for global, which is pretty cool. So she's base 5-star, so that's a bummer. She's not going to be in most people's inventories, but if you do happen to get her, her Trustmaster reward's okay. This is really good for tanks in general, but you know, pretty much anybody can use this to, you know, make them more sustainable. It's kind of a generic all-purpose TMR. Maybe not so much for your attackers who you want to, you know, put on an extra 30 attack or whatever, but for a lot of other classes, it's going to be useful for sure. One of the cool things that everybody likes about her is that she has this basically re-raise ability where you know, you're able to cast it on somebody who you're afraid might die or you can't afford to lose, and it'll automatically revive them with 80% HP. So that's kind of cool. Well, again, we'll dive into the details later. But global exclusive, this is what's really cool about her. She's able to dual wield 2 daggers, essentially. They call them short swords with their daggers. So again, that dagger that I had shown earlier, that's going to be in one hand. And the other hand, you're going to probably... well, there's not too many magic daggers, so in all honesty, this is probably not going to be the ideal build for her. You'd probably want to put on that dagger that I mentioned, and plus like a Frivia's needle, and then go with that. Letters and Arms build or something like that. But you know, for a free ability that they're giving to global only, this is actually really cool. And then Boomerang Dagger, this is deal magic damage and power up. So these power up magical abilities are kind of becoming more common now, and I think this actually makes her more of a viable mage. As I mentioned before, her magic abilities currently, or in JP at least, when she came out, were pretty generic, so this makes her more of a real mage. And again, we'll go into that deeper in a bit. The next unit is going to be King, and this is kind of a better version of Medius, I would say. His Trustmaster reward is okay. We do have other ones that restore MP, like kind of like an auto refresh type of thing. Soze, King Soze, whatever, Emperor. His was only at 3%. This is a 7% MP, but of course it doesn't have any other effects. He's able to basically, he can also do this re-raise ability, but I think it's a little bit weaker. And global exclusive, again, he's able to dual wield guns, which is really cool. So they're making this a lot more free-to-play friendly, I think, because you know, a lot of people still don't have that many dual wield materials. Even if they do have one, you know, it's nice to have it for free on other characters too, because you have multiple attackers in your party typically. So he's able to dual wield guns here. Maybe again, as I mentioned, you could get the free one from the raid event, free one from this event coming up, and it wouldn't be too bad for this guy. So, and then we have Sice, who's the base 3-star, goes to 5-star only unit. These units are typically only for the event bonuses. I mean, I can't imagine that too many people are running non-6-star units in their party at this point. Even if you're a new player, it's very easy to fill out your party with 6-star characters, but you do get that 50% bonus if you pull Sice, so that's pretty good. Persistence is like okay, it's one of those generic things for healers and tanks, support characters. Nobody's going to really be farming for this, but if you happen to just pull a whole bunch of this unit over time, you can just, you know, merge them into each other and get it just for free, basically. Featured abilities: drain HP from all enemies. Okay, drain abilities are typically pretty weak. Dark Nebula, this is I believe one of her stronger, is this a her or is this a guy or girl? I don't know. But one of the stronger single target abilities, but it's not that strong actually. And it has like a 30% stop chance, so it's just kind of whatever. Instant chance of instantly KOing all enemies. Again, I don't like these abilities. They don't work when you need them to, and you know the chances are low even for generic enemies. They're not going to work on a boss anyway, so this is kind of like irrelevant. But Sice does have other abilities that are actually handy, and I think that the featured abilities are actually some of the worst ones. So with that, we'll go into the details. Okay, so Sice, again, is a max 5-star character. Not going to be in most people's parties for real, but okay, it is a female. But she does actually have some somewhat useful abilities. Okay, so stat-wise, pretty average, typical 5-star stuff. HP is not bad, I guess. She uses daggers, axes, and spears. So interesting weapon lineup there. Not really your typical stuff. We do have some axes now, free axes, and some spears that are easy to get now. So, you know, it's possible to outfit her with decent equipment, even if you don't have a bunch of TMRs. So negative aura, this is that HP drain to one enemy. Actually, for a drain ability, this is one of the better ones I've seen. The damage isn't that great, but the drain percentage, if this is accurate, is really high. So basically, if you can dish out enough damage, she's just refilling herself completely with this every turn if you use it. Now, keeping her alive is probably not that important, and a 5-star character is most likely going to get one-shotted in a tough fight anyway, but in theory, this is a really nice HP drain to have. All these Moxie things are pretty cool too, because you can basically, they're AoE attacks, pretty standard stuff, 1.7, but then you can choose which stat to buff up by 50%. So whatever's not covered by your buff or your support characters, you can buff those up as needed. Although I don't really know why you would want to buff up anything other than maybe attack or some kind of defensive stat. I don't know why you'd want to buff up Mag, for instance, because it appears that she doesn't have any magic abilities. Okay, well, I'm wrong about that. Okay, so this is a weird character. Yeah, I apologize for that. I did look at the abilities and everything ahead of time, but I just kind of forgot because, again, it's a max 5-star character. I don't pay that much attention, but I probably should. The role is classified as physical damage, but there is some way, I guess, that some people would want to use them as a hybrid of sorts, or maybe even situationally as a mage, although the mag is kind of low for that. So yeah, if you buff up your mag by 50%, then suddenly you could become a halfway viable mage if you are running up against, enemies that are weak to lightning, but I would never do that. I would consider her a physical damage dealer. These passives suck. 10%, that's not really nothing. Even for a 5-star character, that's not good at all. The best ability, I would say, in addition to stop, which can be useful for a lot of situations, but 30% is not that great anyway. But the black hole ability actually seems pretty useful. It's like a AoE full break almost. I mean, it's 25% instead of like your 30, but I can see situations where you'd want to do this, where you can debuff everybody at the same time. Now, Noctis's Thunder Flask can debuff Mag and Spirit for 30%, I think. And that comes with a nice big attack, but not everybody has a Noctis. And, you know, if you are running up against a big fight with a lot of enemies and you want to debuff them all, this could be potentially useful. And Grim Reaper, okay, this instant KO percentage is actually higher than we're used to as well. It's 50% instead of 30. But again, I mean, this isn't going to work on bosses. And if you're using this on mobs, I mean, I guess it could be convenient, but it's not anything worth like pulling a character for, you know? So anyway, that's pretty much it. Even her limit burst is physical damage and it inflicts blind, so situationally useful as well, but you're basically running it for the event bonus in all likelihood. So the next unit is King, and I'm always interested in these base 4-star characters because typically they're pretty decent and they're obviously easier to pull, although they're definitely not a given anymore. If you've seen my struggle to get Setzer and Soze and whatever, they're not a given at all. Even Xyrus, I know a lot of people haven't been able to pull Xyrus yet. I think they've actually made that drop rate very low because the TMR is so good and so easy to get, but I digress. So King is a physical damage dealer as well. Pretty decent stats, good HP, attack is average for an attacker, I would say, for a 6-star. And he uses daggers, thrown weapons, and guns. And the fact that he comes with innate dual wield for guns and global means that you'll probably be running 2 guns, unless you just have a really good knife and a throwing weapon instead. Some of his stuff reminds me of 6-star Medius. Point blank shot is just a generic 2.1 attack. Rapid fire is probably going to be your best. If you're up against one enemy, this is like your barrage type of ability. You can get anywhere from 1x to 6x, and the average works out to about a 3.5. So this is probably one of his better attacks. Unreliable, but still on average one of your better attacks. And then he's able to buff himself if you. He turns into a glass cannon. He doubles his attack, but he decreases his defense by half, so you'll have to use that situationally. If you're up against a magic using boss, then this is going to be it's going to be a win-win, basically. And it's 5 turns, so that's pretty nice. I hate self-buffs that are 3 turns because, you know, you're wasting a turn buffing yourself and you only get a benefit of it for like a couple turns afterwards, so it's not too bad. Fire physical damage, 1.9 to one enemy, not too bad, considering that it comes with these the defense debuff. So this is pretty okay as well. This is the auto revive, or some people would call it re-raise from other games, for 1 turn to caster. Okay, so this is not for other people, I'm sorry. This is only for King, and this would be good to use if you knew that a big attack was coming up. So for instance, Mega Flare, you know it's coming the next turn, you might as well just cast this on himself so that when he dies, he'll come right back with half health. So that's situationally useful. I wouldn't call it an amazing skill because it's only for himself, but you know, definitely would be a nice way to bypass some of those mechanics. And then here we have a lot of his passes. So what's cool about him is that he has some of these decent attacks up here, as I mentioned, but none of them really stand out as like amazing attacks. But when you couple that with his counter rate, which is 45%, which is really high, then he actually becomes a decent damage dealer because he's doing that active damage and then he's doing passive damage, and he gets a lot of passives, passive boost to his attack. So we got 20% here with a 40% critical rate increase. That's really good. But then he also gets an additional 30%. So he's getting a 70% attack boost, and his normal attack hits 3 times. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming this would affect his counters, which is really cool. So that counters, you know, if it's a regular counter, it's just like a 1x multiplier essentially, and it's not that big a deal. But if it turns into a 3-hit counter, that would be amazing. But even if it's not, I mean, the counter rate is so high that you know, it's gonna make up for his other deficiencies in the attacking department. So pretty cool stuff, and I think these counter characters are typically kind of fun to watch. So I don't know, I'm kind of tempted to pull for him. I mean, I'm gonna pull a little bit just for the event bonuses, but if I happen to get him, I'll be pretty happy. And then enabled by trigger finger, what is that? Oh, okay, so when he counters the 45% here, it also, oh, so, okay, never mind. Maybe this is confirming what I was saying, or unconfirming, or whatever. It looks like it's going to be a 1x when he counters, so maybe High Cat Magazine doesn't affect that. Again, I don't really know much about this character, but... And then Limit Burst is very standard generic stuff, 2.9 up to 4.1x. This is barely better than his abilities, so it's actually a pretty bad Limit Burst. But all in all, if you couple this with the dual wield that you know, Global is getting, he's actually going to be a very free-to-play friendly character to have in a dual wield and pretty decent ability, so kind of cool. But he's not going to be best in slot. He's not going to be like some meta game changer in any way. He is just, you know, he is what he is, and he's kind of fun with the guns and the countering. Gun characters are always fun to watch, I think. Alright, so the main prize Rem, basically, I don't know if they would call her a red mage, but that's what I consider her to be, because she does healing and attack magic. Very good character, but in my opinion, maybe possibly overrated. I don't know, maybe Re-Raise is just that good, but she does have really good mag and spirit, which are like her primary stats, and, you know, good HP as well, so, and MP. So as far as you know, being a mage and everything, this is actually one of the tougher mages, I would say. So weapon wise, again, of course, a dagger. You're going to be wanting to use a dagger on her for sure. And then on the other hand, it depends on what TMRs you have, of course. Maybe you want to put on a rod, and then you want to put on a robe and do Dark Bond, or you want to put on a sword, maybe Enhancer, or if you're lucky, Frivia's Needle, and then put on a bunch of letters and arms. It's going to give her a really big magic boost. That's another way to build her. Or maybe you want to build her more as a healer. So, I don't know, there's a lot of possibilities. Special-wise, this is like a typical kind of Osmos, I guess. The damage is pretty low, but that's because 30% of it's going to MP. So, yeah. This is just an option to kind of make her sustain better. She does have dual cast innately, so that's really cool because she does have white magic and black magic that you'd want to dual cast. This actually kind of makes me realize that dual cast as a materia or TMR in general is becoming a little bit obsolete, because most of the good healers nowadays have innate dual cast, or even like, yeah, it's good right now for Refia and Cecil, but later on we're going to have Warrior of Light as the main tank. We're going to have like Tillith, and for Tillith, a lot of her stuff is our abilities that you don't dual cast anyway, so I feel like dual cast is starting to become obsolete as a materia, but having it innately is definitely good on the character. Healing Prayer, this is a really nice, like a Kiraja kind of thing, coupled with Isunaga. But you can't dual cast this, so basically you come up against an interesting decision if you want to heal once and get rid of your status ailments versus dual casting Kiraja, which you also have the option of doing. So you can double your curing here, your healing here, but you can also do a single heal with, you know, getting rid of status ailments. So depends on the situation, but it's nice that she's able to do that. Triple Slip, this just allows her to evade 3 hits of physical damage for 2 turns. So again, if you know that a boss is going to hit you really hard, you might want to do that. And then here's her like signature ability, which is basically auto revive for 3 turns to 1 ally. So you can cast this on anybody that you want to keep alive for the next 3 turns. Really cool stuff. Passive wise, she gets a lot of magic actually, 20% here, 50% here if you're equipped with a dagger. Again, a dagger is a must if you're going to use this character. even whether it's a mage or as a healer, because you're getting the spirit buff here as well, 50%. You definitely want a dagger on her for sure, which is why I think that dagger that's coming up in this event is going to be the best in slot for this character. Auto refresh is nice, and then the rest you can see for yourself. Overall, the passes are very good on this character, which you would expect for a jackpot character on a banner base 5-star. And then magic wise, you have a lot of the basics. You do have Cura, Asuna, decent elemental coverage with kind of like the big three, I would say. She does have the Kiraja option, so you could dual Kiraja with her, or you can do the other one. Raze is pretty okay. I found that after using Ishtola, full life is not always needed, so having Raze is good enough in some cases. Now, the fact that she has Proteka and not Shelga kind of makes her a little bit weird to me. And maybe there are builds around this and I just don't know what they are yet. Or at least in the current meta. I think it's a little bit weird because typically my healer will double as a buffer or putting up support skills. So whether that's Embolden with Refia, which is attack and defense, and then covering magic and spirit with Cecil. That's a really good 1-2 combo with the buffs. Or you can even use Ishtola to do dual cast Proteka and Shelga, which covers defense and spirit, and then you can do attack and magic with like Minfilia or even Noctis with his link ability, so you have all your buffs covered that way as well. But with Rem, the fact that she only has Proteka, it makes it seem a little bit trickier, I think, at this current time to get all your buffs covered. Like, you're gonna have to get spirit, magic, and attack elsewhere, which is a little bit awkward. So I think that's one thing that I don't like about her. But, you know, maybe as we go forward, that's not going to be an issue. I think Warrior of Light actually has a really good buff, so maybe that's going to be not an issue in the future. But for now, it's kind of awkward to me. And then her Limit Burst is a pretty powerful magic damage ability. It's AoE, and it essentially is a 5.4 or 7.8 once you factor in the Ignore Spirit. So that's pretty nice. Not anything special, but definitely worth using in a lot of cases. So yeah, I think Rem is a very good character. I don't know if I'm gonna I would definitely not hard pull for her, but you know, if you do happen to get her, you're gonna be very happy. She's pretty slot efficient actually, because she does cover so many different bases, but you know, she does what a healer and a mage would do, but she doesn't really offer a ton of utility outside of that, other than Undying Wish, of course. But you know, the buff situation is a little bit weird to me, but I'm sure there's workarounds for that. But yeah, anyway, that's my banner review and, you know, talking through all the updates and everything. I'm going to pull a little bit just as the typical, you know, event bonuses and stuff like that. You got to have those, otherwise you're going to be farming forever. But if I happen to get Rem or King, I'll be happy. And Sice is just like whatever. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.